guys, welcome once again to my channel, and thank you very much for coming in to watch this video. Remember to subscribe and also hit that notification bell so that anytime I post a new video you're able to get notified. I'm privileged to have my sister here with me today. She'll be able to take us through coming to Australia on a spouse visa, because she came in on as a spouse, and I got her so that she's able to give us maybe the leeway or the process on how to apply, on how to come as a spouse. Without any further ado, please allow me to let her introduce herself. Welcome.
Oh, thank you very much. My name is Olive Chumba. As you've heard, he's my younger brother. He did say that I am the older sister. So I'm very much privileged to come and answer some few questions concerning my journey to Australia in a spouse visa. So thank you very much. I hope you'll get to learn something.
Welcome very much, Olive. So maybe can you tell us how was it from the time you applied for visa coming here, leaving you back home? What were you doing? How was maybe take us through that first.
Oh, thank you very much. So for my case, that is just one of the options. My husband came ahead of me and I joined him like about 6 months later. So he came and then he applied for my visa, but he had already mentioned in his visa that he's married, and actually all my details were there. So as soon as he arrived here, after like a month, our agent, the same agent we used for my husband, started my process, and it was pretty much easy for me because we didn't have to go through like the whole process as a student. So you asked that how was it to be back at home while he was here. Of course, it's hard for anyone to be away from your spouse, but I had much faith that in due season, as like I would be able to join him. So at that time I was busy doing stuff. I was still working, although I resigned at some point, and I was also finishing on my studies because I studied my master's in Kenya. So I was finalizing on my thesis. So I was really busy.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. So how was the application process? Maybe people want to know out there how the process is.
Yeah. So if you want, in a situation like my case where your spouse comes before you, the process is pretty much easy because you already most of the documents you already have, and we got it with my husband. Like I already had a passport, which is a requirement, and I had I think it was just a passport, and of course you need a marriage certificate, so you need to be legally married. And other few documents that they needed is that because my husband was here and I was meant to join him, I needed to get an overseas health cover. I had to pay for that, and I needed after that I would go for my medicals and all that. So for a spouse it is easy because you don't need any qualifications at all, and the only thing you need is your husband's visa. You need the passport, and from there the agent is able to guide you on any other thing that they would need. Of course, also they would need proof. During my time, they didn't require much proof. The only proof they wanted was a marriage certificate. But I understand at the moment they need more proof for some other people. So it depends. So I produced those documents, and I was required to pay the overseas health cover because we did not take one as a family. So we took individual. Once maybe you will discuss later about that. And yeah, so that is how I applied for my visa. But after that I needed to go and do medicals, and what else? I needed to do medicals and the biometrics. Yeah, so it was much easier because I didn't need any English or any of those other documents.
Yeah, I remember when you were doing your medicals, I was in Nairobi by then, and I came in to help you maneuver through Nairobi because she had lived in Eldoret her entire life, so I was there to help her through.
He was Mtwamkoni.
Maybe tell us what's the rough estimate of that process for anyone who wants to come here.
Actually, I remember estimating my whole amount as a spouse. It was really less. like including flight, it was less than 300,000.
Oh, really?
So yeah, about 200 and something, over 250, less than 300. Because you just need an overseas health cover. I paid 88,000.
Yeah.
I paid for biometrics and medicals. It was roughly 15,000 for medicals and around 10,000 for biometrics, roughly.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Oh.
And then the flight.
Is that all that's needed?
Okay, yeah, that was pretty much what was needed at then for me to launch my visa. So after I launched my visa, I waited for a while, and sometimes the immigration might need more information, more documentation,
Yeah.
and they asked me for a proof of enrollment for my husband. He was already in school, so it was easy. The agent reached my husband and he sent a proof that he had enrolled in school.
Yeah.
And that is how we got as soon as he provided that, actually my visa
Was granted. Yeah.
And I think this is something that maybe people should know, that when they ask for additional information, you really need to provide as soon as possible, because the immigration were telling us that provide the information within 14 days before they make a decision. So if I had not, maybe it would be a different decision that they would have made. But we provided because we had that, and that is how I was granted my visa.
So how long did it take you from the time you started the process of application to the time you got granted the visa?
Okay, at some point I delayed. Sorry, there is one thing that I forgot to also say. They needed a bank statement also. That is something I forgot. Yeah, we needed a bank statement from a bank statement of around 3.5 million.
3.5?
Yeah, 3 million to 3.5 million. That is what they wanted at that time.
So that's part of the requirement as a spouse.
Yeah.
When you're applying for a spouse visa, you need a bank statement
Yeah.
from a close family member, right?
Yeah, close family member.
Okay.
Yeah, by then they were not very strict, but I understand right now it is a bit more strict.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can always get the information about that. So because I delayed at some point, like I told you, my husband came 6 months earlier. I took like 1 month before I started, and then I took, because I was not fast, like providing the all the required documentation and all that. It's not that I did not have, but it is because I was also buying time, considering that I was yet to finish my studies. So, but the real process is like 3 months. As soon as you submit your documentation for launching the visa, after I launched my visa, it took me 2 months to get my visa. And of course, if your spouse is overseas, you would think that it's a year, and later I just realized it was just 2 months.
So how was life maybe getting here? How was that feeling the first time you saw him after all that time?
Yeah, of course I had missed him, and it was exciting, and he had also missed me. And we thank God our visa was granted that early. I came to Australia 10 days after I got my visa, and it was really exciting. He was also excited. He had friends to get me from the airport. We had friends who hosted a small party for us, and it was really amazing at that time. Yeah, it would be nice for anyone.
Yeah.
And then our journey began from there, and we started the journey of staying in Australia together. I had to look for a job because he was doing a master's degree. According to the working conditions, I was allowed to work full-time, which is really good. And that is one of the reasons it's good to have your partner or your husband or wife with you, because he's able to work more. And
yeah. So to just clarify on the working conditions, if you're coming here to do your degree program, you're only allowed to work 40 hours as a student. Also, doing your master's as well, you're allowed to work 40 hours. But if your spouse comes in and you're doing degree, program, you are only allowed to do 40 hours.
Yes.
But if your spouse is studying master's degree, you are not limited when it comes to working conditions. You are just allowed to work as much as you can. So those are the difference. So if you are on a degree program, you just do 40, your spouse as well will do 40. But if your spouse is doing masters, your spouse is not limited. That's correct, right?
Yes,
Yep.
yes. That's
Okay. So since you came here, so how has life been being with your spouse here, working, and how have you been able to?
Yeah, life has been easier for both of us and mostly for him compared to how he was telling me when he was here by himself. It was a bit hard for him figuring out things, but yeah, he figured out everything. He got a job, he was studying and working at the same time. But when I came, of course, I lifted some burden off his shoulder because I was able to work and cater for some things, like even contribute towards his school fees, and life was much easier. It is good when you're with your spouse because, of course, you get to continue with family and all that. And again, life is cheaper. In Australia, life is not that, I'm not saying it is complicated, it's not like not livable, but it is much easier when you are with your spouse here because you get to plan things, you get to pay rent and all bills, and it's easier when actually two is better than one. That's what I would say.
The people who are back home and they are planning to come here, what can you tell them?
Yeah, I know for people back at home or back overseas who are not in Australia already, it is hard because you don't know. You the fear of the unknown. Because just like us, we didn't know. It was hard. It was just something we were risking and all that. But at least we're here to give you the information. So it is really good when you come with your family here. It is not hard. But if you have kids, what I would advise is maybe you can apply for the visa. Even if you get the visa including your kids, you can leave your kids and come here, settle, and then they can come over. But if you have enough support from your family members where they are able to support the entire process and the cost of living here and everything, you can easily come here with your kids. This country favors kids very much in terms of school and everything. It is a good country, and there are two ways in which you can come. Like our way, my husband came first and then I followed. But it is possible for you to, while you're applying for your student visa, you're allowed to include your partner, your kids, and you're able to come together at once if you can afford that. Like if you can afford to come together at once. But it is very much possible for you to apply for your student visa and include right there your wife or your husband, and you can come together and start life here in Australia. It is, of course, any new place is a bit hard when you start, but when you get to understand the culture, how things go, this will be all right.
Yeah. Talking about the spouse and the kids, we've seen so many people apply for visas, but they don't include their kids or their spouse in it. So when they come here, they now start the process of trying to include their kids or their spouses, which it's always really hard. And we've seen so many cases people are denied visas because of that. And if you are applying for a visa, please include your kids, include your spouse. That will be much easier even when you come here to apply for them.
Yeah, it is really good to include your entire family, your dependents.
Yeah.
All your dependents, even if they are adopted kids, anyone who is your dependent and you have documentation to prove that, it is allowed that you include them. Even if you're coming to study and you have not thought of maybe moving your entire family, you might come here and change your mind. You never know.
Yeah.
It is really good to always include all of them, so that in case you come here and you want to stay longer and you want to have your family together, you'll be sorted. It is hard when you're already here and you did not mention that you were married, you did not mention that you had kids. It is going to be a bit hard for you again to say that I was married, I had kids, I want to bring them over here. it will be a bit hard for you. So from the word go, just state that I have family, I have kids. That would be really.
Thank you very much. I believe that has been very informative conversation, and hopefully anyone who's out there who will watch this video, you learn something from that. And moving forward, we shall still get more information. I can get people here who have already have kids here, and they'll tell us how the process was bringing their kids here and all that. So thank you very much for today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.
Bye.